Charles Youngberry, my great-grandfather, or great-great-grandfather, came out here to Australia in the mid-1800s to late 1800s, and I'm not sure exactly, but I believe he had a little house and raised some children on this creek here. So really sketchy about the details, but I found this little creek. It was only a very tiny plot of land. It was measured in chains back then. I forget how big, but I know it was very small. But I know he had a small house. He was able to extend it for some of his kids or brothers-in-laws or something like that. And he had a veggie garden. So the creek is literally just down here about 50 yards. And surely, when you look at the map, the back of the property runs into the back of the creek. So I'm just out here looking for any broken glass, which I have found some broken glass over near that big dead tree. There's some sand there, but I'm looking for some flat ground where they would have had a house, where they potentially would have cleared an area for a house and a veggie garden. So I'm thinking it sort of drops off a little bit towards this creek over here. I think it gets a little bit flatter over there, so they knew they had a lot of work cut out for them. They would have had to have cleared the land to build the house and to dig, looking for gold. So I'm sure that they would have wanted the flattest bit of land, and even if they were plotted a little bit of land back then, I'm sure that they would have exaggerated the surveyor's pegs just to make it like a little bit easier for them. Well, I certainly would anyway. So I parked my car, jumped out here, and stuff it. I'll keep filming. Can edit it out if I don't like it. So I walk down here. Yes, this is the middle of summer. This is right near a creek, so this is prime black snake country. I'm by myself. It's about a 20-minute drive into town if I do hurt myself, get bitten by a snake or something. So there's this really soft clay sort of stuff, which wasn't giving me the biggest hopes, but this is what I found when I came down towards the creek. Now, if you were a gold miner or a panner, it's sort of flattening out a little bit here. And this tree here would have only been a baby back then. May not have even been around. This tree's been hit by lightning. You can see it's exploded all over the place. But have a look at this. As you get down to the creek, if this was your backyard and you were a miner, wouldn't you want this in your backyard? Bedrock. Now, there's some more bedrock there, but there's even more. There's a wallaby running away, or a kangaroo running away up the hill there. But wouldn't this be handy to have right at your back door? Hey. Now, I was just happy to look for a house, and I started walking over this log here, and the creek comes from two ways. It's covered in all this bush, which is about 4 foot high for you, or higher for you American guys, or just over 1 meter high on average. There's definitely some clumps that are a lot higher, but you can't actually see the running creek, but it is running under the water. And I'm not a gold miner, but I was thinking about all the snakes, and I couldn't help it. I was getting, it must have been the pull of the gold. It was pulling me in there, walking through snake country, and I got shoes on, and I pulled my socks up, but that's all I got to protect myself. I was wearing thongs, but thought it's too easy to get a nibble on the toe, so put my boots on. So I don't know if you can see up the top there. This is granite country. So yeah, I reckon great-great-granddad Charles would have probably loved having this little bit of bedrock in his backyard, especially if somewhere within this 50 metres area, I'd say, was where his little house is. And I bet you if when they were digging this, this probably would have all been cleared out, all dug out, burnt out, and they would have had probably a lot of this sort of granity bedrock to pan in. And so yeah, anyway, this is I'm going to go for a bit more of a walk up this creek here and see what I can find. I'm going to stay on this side of the river or creek and just see if I can find any artifacts. I'd really like to find like a blacksmith or handmade nail or something like that, or an old door hinge or something along those lines, and some old bottles. I don't know how long he lived here, but yeah, surely there must have been a bottle dump somewhere where they burnt their rubbish, so the glass bottles would probably survive the burning of the rubbish. So anyway, I'll get back. I just thought that I'd make a video just in case I get bitten by a snake, because I'm feeling the pull of the gold fever. I can feel it. So where my finger is, that's where I was standing before filming, in the little water hole. And then there's just there, that's a deposit of sand. And as much as it doesn't look like it, this is the creek, but it's so overgrown that I don't know if you can see it, but I stood just there, and that's water. And there's more water just down here. So this is all water underneath here and keeps travelling up there. You just can't tell because of how overgrown it is. So kind of got to be a bit careful where you walk. It's not only snakes. This is perfect black snake country, like red belly black and other nasties, brown snakes and that. I do have to be careful here. It's prime. It's in the middle of the day. It's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 1:30, 2 o'clock or something. So it's prime time, and all of these little spots through here that looks like animal trails and the sun shining, that's where I or a human would naturally want to walk, because it's more cleared and easier to walk. That's also where the snakes are going to lie to be out in the sun, sunbaking. So yeah, it's a double whammy. There's an eagle up there. He's just soaring around looking for a feed. I don't know. Does an eagle overhead give you good luck, or is that bad luck? I don't know. Right, so I'm not a geologist or someone who knows nothing about rocks, but this is the first sort of rock that to me looks like showing signs of there may be some type of gold in the area, just with the rust colour and that in here. And there seems to be a bit of quartzy stuff in here. I don't know what you call this type of rock. Is that like a sedimentary rock that looks like it's made of lots of small little bits and pieces of stuff over the years? Rightio, found a bit of tin here. So whether this is part of old Charles Youngberry's, whether my great granddad had something to do with this or not, I don't know. It looks like a couple of nice old bullet holes there, 45, maybe a 3.0. Looks like maybe a couple of shotgun pellets in that too. Yeah, don't know, but it is off the main track up there, down towards the creek. Could be from anything, but it doesn't look like a 44-gallon drum. That's too thin and too easily bent and messed up. So this sort of part where I am right here, this looks a lot flatter and a lot nicer if you were going to establish a little cottage or small little house for yourself. Okay, now there's a little bit more of a clue. There's a bit of quartz. Now here's some more quartz, all just sitting all over the surface, all broken up. Now, again, I ain't particularly a person of great knowledge, especially when it comes to mining and looking for gold. But the way that these bits of quartz are just lying around, and of course this is covered by a lot of overgrowth, would that be tailings? Would that be old timers tailings? Could that be my great grandfather's tailings that he was working once upon a time? Okay, so these are some of these quartz piles, mounds of dirt with the quartz in it. There's another one over there, and I went back and here's this quartz again. I went back and got my metal detector, and I've seen all these little holes before, and I thought, oh, they're probably just bandicoot holes, you know. But then what I sort of came to realise, maybe they aren't bandicoot holes, because these potentially are tailings and this detector of mine, that seems pretty cleared out, right? But what I did find, where is it? Okay, so this is a Minelab Equinox 900 with a 6-inch coil on gold 1. And I'm getting a strong 14, 15, 16. Right. Now, when I started digging these before in the other patch, the long grass makes it extremely hard, but I couldn't visually see what I was getting, and then trying to, it's my first time really doing this, so I'm fumbling my fingers around and all that sort of stuff. But the few times that I had it, like, I'll actually show you. This, I don't know if that's going to focus in too well. That is extremely fine dirt, and I can't find the little picker or chunk of whatever it is, if it is gold or not. But there is, where am I looking? I don't think it's going to focus in on it. Yeah, it's not focusing in. At the bottom, where is it? At the bottom, I think there is like the tiniest little speck of something, which could be a piece of gold, which would be absolutely minute. And I think that's what I've been chasing. If it is, I'm going to have to pan it out or something. If find some way of getting it out. But maybe that's what I'm chasing with this little... This is another one of these signals. So you can see that there's nothing else anywhere else. Very distinct little signal, but they're so tiny that I actually can't even be bothered anymore, because the amount of work that goes into trying to get those tiny little pieces. Sunlight's running out and I've got to drive for about 40 minutes, set up camp and all that sort of stuff, so I think I'm going to give up here. But what I thought were little animal holes, I actually start to think that maybe someone's put their detector over these tailings, and I'm pretty sure that's what these are now. These are tailings that maybe my great-grandfather used, or great-great-grandfather might have had something to do with. Because here's the other pile. Oops. And I almost got it. I almost got the last. This is the little hole that I dug out, and there was a couple other little holes around here too. And I was just about getting the last little tiny bit into my bag, and my bag brushed up against this grass, which knocked it out of my hands. And it's so tiny. Again, I can't be bothered trying to find that in that grass now. But they're like tiny. These are like splitter 12 shot, a lead 12 shot into quarters, and they're that sort of size or smaller. They're just absolutely tiny, so I don't even know if it'd be like 0.1 of a gram. So the amount of hard work it is to get it out of that long grass, I just can't be bothered. But anyway, if I get more time, if I got more time to play around, I might come back here another day, but today's running out. So anyway, I think I found where my great-great-grandfather may have been working. I know he was somewhere. My car's just over there behind that fallen down tree. So his place was somewhere in this vicinity. I'm not exactly sure where, but yeah. Anyway, time to go.